To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Marvell. Structure, summary, analysis. Hello and welcome to the discourse. To His Coy Mistress is a metaphysical poem by Andrew Marvell written around the end of the English Interregnum. Due to political controversy and the popular tradition of manuscript circulation, most of Andrew Marvell's poetry was not published during his lifetime. To His Coy Mistress was first published posthumously in 1681. Andrew Marvell is often associated with the 17th century school of English metaphysical poets including John Donne, George Herbert, Henry Vaughan, Robert Southwell, and Richard Crashaw. Metaphysical poetry is known for using elaborative, figurative language, original conceits, paradoxes, and philosophical topics. Metaphysical poetry is like a puzzle where the poet challenges the reader to think deeply about life's big questions, love, death, and the divine, using clever metaphors and surprising comparisons to reveal new perspectives. To His Coy Mistress is a beautiful love poem based on a gentleman wooing his mistress to make love with him. It is a carpe diem poem in which the speaker attempts to convince his beloved to seize the day and act on her passion. Structure of To His Coy Mistress. The poem consists of 46 lines in rhyming iambic tetrameter couplets. Though metaphysical poets often preferred iambic pentameter or the heroic couplet, Marvell used iambic tetrameter in this poem, which offers a lighter, faster, and playful pace to the poem. There are a few metrical deviations in the poem. Using iambic tetrameter in place of heroic couplets suggests that the poem is not quite as serious as a poem on a heroic subject should be. The poem is organized in rhyming couplets and each couplet has its own rhyme. That is, the poem is composed in closed couplet form, and hence each first line of the couplets rhymes with the next line, and hence the rhyming scheme is AA, BB, CC, DD, and so on. The poet used metaphor, hyperbole, alliteration, personification, symbolism, enjambment, apostrophe, caesura, and allusion in the poem. The speaker is an anonymous lover trying to seduce his love. The speaker may be the poet's mask trying to convince his mistress that she should make love with him. The poet uses many metaphysical conceits such as comparing coyness and crime, vegetables and love, and time and chariot. While the poem appears to be a simple seductive piece, it does have a spiritual aspect of its own. It was probably written at the beginning of the Age of Restoration, and it suggests the poet's break-free enthusiasm against the shackles of Puritanism during the Interregnum. The poem also indicates the British mindset of colonialism and expansion during that era, as the poet mentions the Indian Ganges in the first stanza. Summary of To His Coy Mistress. The poem is written in closed couplet form. It can be divided into 3 parts or stanzas. The first stanza contains 20 lines or 10 couplets in which the speaker cajoles his lady to give in to his sexual advances. In the next 12 lines or the second stanza, the speaker shows his urgency and tries to instill fear of death in his lover's heart. In the last stanza, the speaker again changes his tone to a lighter mood and says that he has a solution against the ephemeral nature of life and they should embrace each other while they are young and living without worrying about the future. Stanza 1, lines 1 to 20. Had we but world enough and time, this coyness lady were no crime. We would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long love's day. Though by the Indian Ganges side, shouldst rubies find, I by the tide, of Humber would complain, I would love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. My vegetable love should grow, vaster than empires and more slow, and 100 years should go to praise thine eyes, and on thy forehead gaze, 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest, an age at least to every part, and the last age should show your heart. For lady, you deserve this state nor would I love at lower rate. The speaker begins by creating various metaphysical conceits to suggest how he would love his lady love if the two lovers indeed had enough time. He suggests that if the two of them had ample time, if they were immortals, then his lover's shyness and hesitation might have been acceptable. But since they are mortals, her coyness is comparable to a crime. He then playfully imagines that the two have enough time. Then they could have walked past the Indian Ganges collecting rubies on its bank. The speaker then alludes to the biblical flood narrated in the book of Genesis allegory and says that he could have loved his lady from 10 years before the flood, and she could refuse his advances up until the conversion of the Jews, which again is a biblical reference to the end of time. The speaker then uses a metaphysical conceit, vegetable love, suggesting that if they had enough time, his love could have grown slowly but to a vast proportion, vaster than empires. The speaker indicates the phallic expansion. This lower rate of expansion would have allowed him to love and appreciate each and every part of his lover's body, eyes, forehead, breasts, and heart for hundreds of years. He then says that his lady is indeed beautiful enough to deserve such a timeless appreciation, and he would certainly have loved her at the same rate. He would never value her at a lower rate than she deserves, at least in an ideal world where time is unlimited. Stanza 2, lines 21 to 32. But at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near, and yonder all before us lie deserts of vast eternity. Thy beautiful shall no more be found, nor in thy marble vault shall sound my echoing song. Then worms shall try that long preserved virginity, and your quaint honor turn to dust, and into ashes all my lust. The grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. In this stanza, the speaker abruptly exclaims that they are not living in the idealized timeless world. He pleads to the lady that there is not enough time, and whatever time they have is passing by swiftly as he hears time's winged chariot hurrying near. He alludes to Greek mythology. He says that though her lover deserves all the praise and love till eternity, he does not have enough time to worship her as he sees fit. Time is always hurrying closer and closer. Deserts of vast eternity await them, and her beauty will fade, her virginity will turn to dust along with her honor, and all the waiting will be worthless. He continues to praise the lady's virtues, but suggests that her limitless virtues are nothing against the radical limits of the time of their life. Once dead, he assures the lady that her virtues and beauty will lie in the grave along with her body as it turns to dust. He also mentions that his own lust for her will also turn into ashes with no chance for the two lovers to embrace each other. Stanza 3, lines 33 to 46. Now therefore, while the youthful hue sits on thy skin like morning dew, and while thy willing soul transpires at every pore with instant fires, now let us sport us while we may, and now, like amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour, than languish in his slow-chapped power, let us roll and our strength and all, our sweetness up into one ball, and tear our pleasures with rough strife through the iron gates of life. Thus, though we cannot make our sun stand still, yet we will make him run. After offering insights about the time limits, the speaker changes the tone and seduces the lady again. The poet uses another metaphysical conceit, comparing the lady's skin to a vibrant layer of morning dew that is animated by the fires of her soul, and encourages her to sport with him, while we may. He then compares the two lovers with amorous birds of prey, suggesting the intensity of their natural passion for each other. He again encourages the lady to embrace him and roll all our strength into one ball. He offers his lady to make such a rough love that may tear their pleasurable passion through the iron gates of life, or raising their passion above human life and time constraints. So this is it for today. We will continue to discuss the history of English literature. Please stay connected with the discourse. Thanks and regards.